Judges, let me talk to you about judges. You have people that are called a judge who are not a judge. It's just, they could call them street sweeper, car salesman, dirt dauber, ding-a-ling. They could call them anything they want to. They just use the word judge. Makes the man or woman feel important when they're just basically a clerk. Okay, now clerks are important. You know, they file the papers and they go get the papers for us, the people, whether they're insurance clerks or they're clerks at a private organization or they're clerks of the court or whatever. But this so-called judge is a clerk, and he's clerking for you, and he's clerking for somebody else. Okay, so there's a lot of people called a judge that's a clerk. Okay, they're actually an administrator. They're like the head clerk, if you will. So, you know, a lot of times when people say Your Honor or Judge, whoever's sitting on that bench got the big head. Yeah, they're talking to me. I'm the boss. Okay, when in fact they're just the head clerk. And God bless the checkers at grocery stores, but there's a head checker too. Okay, they're not the owner of the business. They're not the manager. They're the clerk. So, you know, in the big scheme of things, they're on the low end working their way up. Okay, well, this here clerk is the chief clerk, and they call him administrator. Just like they have administrative law judges, is what they call them, for Social Security. That just means he knows or she knows something about the law, and they know about a very specific portion of the law, like people that file Social Security disability claims and people that file SSI claims. Then there is an administrative law judge. Okay, so that could be me or you or the next guy down the road. It's just somebody that has 40, 80, 120 hours of special study into this specific type of rules and regulations. Not even the law, it's a statute, a code, a rule, and a policy. And so they've got to interpretate what they mean by this and how they want this done. Okay, a lot of so-called municipal judges for little cities, towns, villages, hamlets, or whatever the term is wherever you live, then they're just a man or woman that sits there, and they're like a ticket maid. They just have some little duties they carry out. They don't really know the law most of the time. Just like the administrative law don't know the judge. They just know some policies, procedures, and process, and they stay on script. It's very limited. Now, that don't mean that you can't have a man or woman that's an administrative law judge that is a bar card lawyer. That does happen. And you have a bar card lawyer as a municipal judge. That does happen. So they know far more about the law, which just means therefore more accountable to you or accountable to their agency or whatever the case may be. There's different theories and strategies to deal with that. But usually it just means that they know only how to deal with this little fiction that they're dealing with. That these words, phrases, and terms that are transcribed onto a piece of paper, that they've done some studying into these things, and that somebody above them said they know this good enough, we can put them out there and pay them a salary and they can decide this. So when you come to them with complicated questions and you object to things and you want things on the record and you want to parlay with them, as it were, in a logical way, something that makes sense, something that's been tested through time, that's been around 50 years, 200 years, since before our country's founding, since back in Magna Carta. They're like, air, give me oxygen. You sucked all of it out of the air. I can't breathe. You asked me something I don't know and I'm not trained in. I only learned how to make paper airplanes yesterday, and you want me to make You want me to make a jet aircraft? You know? So you overwhelm them. So they slap their little gavel down and say, it's ordered. It's ordered. Ordered by who? Me, the idiot. So you got to keep in mind that a lot of these so-called judges are low-end people that just have a little bit of knowledge. If you keep that in mind, that when you go in there, you probably know 10 times to 1,000,000 times as much as that man or woman sitting there. So don't expect much out of them. You're going to have to appeal it 90% of the time up to the next man or woman that knows more than them. Usually significantly more than them, but at least more than them. And they're going to look at it and they're going to say, idiots. And they're going to reverse it, and that's it. And you get what you were rightly entitled to. However, sometimes they don't know a whole lot more, so you got to go up to the next level. It's like a staircase, okay? Think about it here. You had this idiot cop or administrative fiasco that got you introduced to some kind of court system or quasi non-judicial court system that's an administrative system that says it's like you work for a grocery store and you got caught up in a policy violation of the grocery store. It really doesn't apply to you, but they try and apply it to you. And if you show up and you do this, that, and the other, you get bought into it. And if you don't, then they say you're refusing it, and then they try and exert their little authority and cause you a lot of hassle. So it's kind of a catch-22, so you got to figure out the best way to work with it. Anyway, what I'm saying is when you deal with these people, you got to go up to the next step and the next step and the next step. Well, usually one step up, and almost guaranteed 90% the second step up, if you got to go that far, usually clarifies it and rectifies it. If you got to go for the fourth or fifth step, then you really, definitely, unequivocally need to know what you're doing. You need to be really squared away, because not only is it going to affect you, it may affect people in 2 or 3 states around you. You may be in a judicial district, and it went from a grocery store court or the 5 and dime court to a real judicial district court that has real law and real judges, and they're having to make constitutional decisions based upon your deprivation of rights, inalienable rights, or what they want to call civil rights. Civil rights are privileges. I'll tell you about that one day. But anyway, the point is, then you're going to get it turned around. So know if the man or woman you're talking to is really a judge or they're a wannabe judge. Okay? They just got the word judge. I can call myself Emperor Damon. Okay? That's good. Can I run around and touch people on the head and say, you're my subject, and they just come along and follow me? In today's society, I probably could go out there and find 50 or 100 dupes and touch them on top of the head and say, you're my subject, and they'd follow me around, because they don't know no better. Just because I see it. They just hear it and they just follow. They're like little dogs and little sheep, and they follow. But just know the difference, okay? And this is absent legal intent, absent legal authority. If you think I'm a lawyer, bar card lawyer, judge, you're an idiot, because I ain't, and I don't want to be. I could be. I could have done been probably 20 years ago, but that's not what I want to be. I want to be the real man, which I am. I am a physical, good-looking, spiritual man. I ain't no ding-a-ling. I know what I'm doing, but I know that just because somebody writes something on a piece of paper and 4 people vote on it doesn't make it law. Okay? Remember, all the law comes from the Bible, and I can prove it. Okay, God's the only life giver. Ding. So he gets to decide on life. He was the first and continues to be the lawgiver. So everything is secondary to his law because he was the first. You ever heard of birthright? Like the firstborn son, he had all these special rights that none of the other children had. Well, it's kind of akin to that, but it's still in a different realm. God gave the only life, so he decides life. He was the first lawgiver. His law takes precedence. It's the top law. And he's still giving law. He never stepped aside and said, well, I'm going to yield this and give this to my children. No, he's still Big Daddy, and he's still up there in charge of the law. He laid it down. He put a law book together. It's called the Holy Bible. And if anything you do is repugnant to it, you're just out of luck. Chuck. Okay, this is Brother Damon. Oh, to the idiots out there, gobble, gobble. Gobble, gobble. Okay, I'll talk to you people later. Bye.